Hey y'all, hey. So, I made a post about me being fired. Yes, I was fired. I've never ever been fired from a job before. Um, but I don't feel any ways about it because literally I had put my notice in like a week and a half, 2 weeks before, which is something I don't normally do. Like normally if I leave a job, I just leave. I decide, okay, I'm tired of this job, I'm gonna go. Because my thought process is like, they don't give you a notice when they fire your ass. So why am I giving you 2 weeks notice or a month's notice? Like shit, the fuck? So I normally just be looking for another job. Anyway, um, so I had put my notice in a couple of weeks ago. And the only reason I actually did it was because I was like, well, I'll just look for something in the meantime. I've never ever had any issue or problem like getting a job. So I really wasn't worried, and I'm not worried about a job. You know what I'm saying? Like my goal is to not work. I literally I enjoy being a lady of leisure. And for majority of my life, that's what I was. Like, my dad took care of me, my brother, my cousins, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just a lady of leisure. My sister and I remember us just going shopping and to the movies, out to lunch and brunch and, all those different things. So anyway, back to me getting fired. This is the story. So I was working at this hospital and I was a charge nurse at this hospital. So basically, I work in surgery. I'm a nurse. I work in surgery. And there was 3 rooms, 3 operating rooms. And I was a charge nurse. So when I first started this job, I gave the hiring manager a list of dates that I was not going to be able to work because I already had trips planned because that's just my life. Like, I'm going to enjoy life. So I'm like, hey, these are the dates that I already have planned. If there's a problem or an issue, let me know now because then I would turn the job down. And she was like, no, there's no problem. Just let me know the dates. So I gave her all the dates. And I think it was about maybe 3 or 4 trips that I had planned prior to starting this job. So anyway, I started the job. I loved the people. Like, I love the women that I work with. It was pretty much a whole crew of women, for the most part, um, under my direction as a charge nurse. It was mostly women. And I enjoyed the women. I enjoyed, um, the interactions with them. All of that was great. And that's typically how it is at a job. Like, most of the time, it's never the people, it's administration, right? So anyway, I could not stand this facility administration. Like, they made any and everything that should have been a simple thing, they turned it into an act of Congress. To get the light bulbs changed, an act of Congress. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to go through 3 different things. If you wanted a wound vac, you had to contact another company to bring you a wound vac during a surgery. I mean, they just made everything just super difficult. This particular location, we were billed as a woman's hospital. And we were doing all kind of surgeries over there. And we would have to go get equipment from over a half a mile away and tote all this equipment over there. It just was to me like a fuck fest, basically. I hated the job because of those reasons. And so I was just like, okay, it's time for us to keep it moving. So I, of course, started looking for other jobs and everything like that. Fast forward, I had found the position. It really wasn't paying the amount of money I wanted. So at first I accepted. Then I told the people, hey, that's really not enough. So I'm going to let it go or whatever the case may be. Even though I was just like, I was interested in that job. And so I was just like, I'll just stay here until I find something. So anyway, the hiring manager that hired me ended up quitting unexpectedly. Like, it was like a weekend. She was supposed to come back to work like Monday, Tuesday, whatever. And she didn't come back. She was just like, they just was like, hey, she's no longer employed here. So I'm like, okay. Which I already knew was something because she would get so agitated after meetings, because she was basically advocating for our unit, for them to do things a different way on our unit. Not to go into detail, but like I said, our unit was supposed to be a woman's unit, but we were doing kidneys over there. Taking patients from critical care, taking patients on vent, having to go a mile away and literally a mile away to pick up a patient that was vented, bypassing two other operating room areas to do them on our area. And I'm like, the fuck? You know what I'm saying? So it was just so many little things like that that made me dislike the job and felt like we were placing our license at risk and patient safety was at risk. So I was just like, okay. So the manager ended up quitting. And as me being the charge nurse, technically I was next in line as far as just kind of like stepping up. So we ended up having a meeting with a couple of other managers and directors of this particular facility. And they basically was like, so yeah, we need you guys to kind of step up, you know what I'm saying, kind of help out, whatever, X, Y, and Z. So me, okay, I ain't got no problem doing it where the money is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not stepping up in no capacity without extra money, because at the end of the day, as a manager or when you're on salary, you're pretty much like saying you're available all the time. I didn't want nobody calling me. Like, I got off at 3 o'clock. Don't call me after 3 o'clock. Don't text me after 3 o'clock. After 3 o'clock, I don't work here. Act like I don't even exist. And I knew stepping up as far as chain of command meant that these people were going to be calling me. They were going to be texting me. They were going to be asking me questions. Doctors were going to be coming to me with expectations as a manager, but y'all weren't trying to give me no money. Not me. That's the only reason I'm coming to this bitch. I hate working. That's the only reason I'm coming to this bitch, right? So, in the meeting, it was this lady sitting in the meeting, right? So, it was myself and another nurse. This other nurse, she was considered like a lead. So, we really are parallel in career, but she focused on a different aspect of the surgical unit than I did. I was more like employee-centered and whatever, and she was more like equipment and vendor-centered. So, in the meeting, I'm sitting there saying like, hey, I'm not trying to step up in that capacity if y'all not offering any more money, X, Y, and Z. And so it was another manager from a different OR. She was just sitting there shaking her head. So I'm like, hey, I see you shaking your head. If there's something you want to say, open your mouth and say it, right? Because, girl, why are you sitting there shaking your fucking head? You got something to say it, because this is the perfect time. I said, because if I got something to say to you, I'm going to open my mouth and say it. So what you got to say? And so she was like, well, it's just like, you keep saying that you don't want to step up and do that, but that's kind of the chain of command. Yeah, with the money. What the fuck? Girl, please. I was like, okay, yeah. So give me some more money. And so the other lady that's in the same unit as I am, she was the lead. She was like, well, hey, I don't have a problem stepping up. I'm like, And then, no, she made the comment. She said, we. I said, no, speak for yourself, because I got my own mouth. I ain't never had a problem using it. Speak for yourself. I have a problem with it, right? So, she was like, well, yes, please say I, because we not French, baby. It's no we in us. You know what I'm saying? So she was like, well, I don't have a problem with it. I do X, Y, Z. I said, yeah, I do X, Y, Z until 3 o'clock. But don't call, text, or anything else me after 3 o'clock. So, anyway, move forward to, we working, doing X, Y, Z. And I'm just like, I hate this job. They end up bringing in a new director. Now, mind you, this director, she's new, and the first time I met her, I knew she was going to be a problem. The first time I met her. So we were in the office, the lead, the director, and myself. We were in the office, and she wanted the new director, she wanted to have a meeting with the unit. That's great. You should come in, introduce yourself, have a meeting, whatever, whatever. And so the lead, she told the lead, she asked the lead, hey, would you mind sending out a text to everybody on the unit, just letting them know that we're gonna have a meeting on such and such day, such and such time. So the lead was sitting there texting, right? The director was like, no, say this. And then she physically took the woman's phone out of her hand. Baby, it would have been an issue right then and there for me. Don't dare. I mean, when I say physically, like, took the phone from her hand and started writing the text, bitch, don't touch my motherfucking phone. What the fuck wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there like, girl, you ain't gonna say nothing? You ain't gonna address this? You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, oh, okay. So she didn't say anything to the lady. I said, God, what is wrong with you, girl? So anyway, I knew then that she was a micromanager because, one, I don't need you to tell me what to say in a text message as far as organizing a meeting. I was like, oh, okay, that was a little weird and a little off-putting, whatever the case. So anyway, she ended up having a meeting with the unit, and she basically was like just talking in circles. I was just like, okay, red flag number 2. I know I didn't want to be under the management of this person. But like I said, I already put in my notice. I was putting in, like, I was trying to, like, the young women that worked with me are younger. Most of them about 10 years younger. And I'm such a firm believer in girl empowerment, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, if you want to learn what to do to try to apply for this position, let me tell you what I do. Let me show you what I do. Let me tell you things that I know that would kind of give you a step ahead, because I was hoping that they didn't bring anybody else new into the facility, because when I came on, I was new to this facility, and it was a girl who was there who actually interviewed for the job, and they didn't offer it to her because of experience. And I hate that for her, but management experience does make a difference. I will say that, you have to kind of know how to be a people person, how to deal with and interact with people. So I gave them whatever I knew. I gave it to them. Hey, take charge, do whatever. I'm here if you got questions. So anyway, back to my getting fired. So anyway, at a certain point, this new director that came on, she would come up on the unit every day trying to, oh, what's going on, X, Y, Z, whatever the case. So this particular week, 2 of the young women who wanted the charge nurse position were going to be off. I was going to be off. And the lead of our unit was going to be off, right? So there pretty much was no one that was technically in charge for a couple of days. And we had an interview one day. But instead of me going to the interview, I sent one of the nurses in a tech down to interview this person, because I wanted this person to get like a real honest, viewpoint of how the unit is ran. So while they were down there, the director was questioning them about my days off. Mind you, I asked for these days off prior to even accepting the position. So the days off were approved. So they pretty much, like they said, they really didn't have any idea of whatever. But yeah, I have days off. And so she's told them, well, I will confirm. What is there to confirm? Have you not ever worked with black people before? Motherfucker, when we tell you we're not coming to work, we're not asking your permission. I'm letting you know I won't be here, and your best option is to find alternative staffing. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be you or whoever. Just know I won't be here. So I thought that was a little odd. So I'm like, okay, anyway. So it was a Thursday. Our cases, like, the day was going pretty well. We're kind of moving through cases. The day was slowing down. I normally get up at 3 o'clock. So, mind you, the previous manager and I had already discussed my days off. And normally, so in surgery, normally, like, if you don't have a large caseload, don't have many cases, you flex off people. Meaning, hey, we don't have enough cases to justify everybody being at work, so we're going to have to flex you off. So I'm like, okay, well, our cases, we had like 1 or 2 cases running. There was plenty enough people there. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to leave early, right? Everything was done. And it was other charge staff there. So by the time I get in the car, and when I say God, by the time I get in the car, I get an email from my employer. And it was an email thread of this new director asking other managers from other surgical departments about my time off. Miss Ma'am, you could ask the CEO, CFO, COO of this facility, and nothing is going to change. I'm taking the time off. So, my employer was like, yeah, those days. Now, mind you, I had turned in my resignation. So, when you resign from this company, you technically don't supposed to take any time off after your resignation. Mind you, my time was put in before my resignation. So, they told them basically, hey, that time was pre-approved. That time was asked for off in January. This is June. So it's pretty much up to y'all what y'all want to do. Okay. I had already resigned. So that's the part that blows me. I had already resigned. So that would email stop. But me being me, and anybody that knows me, I'm sitting there like, okay, I really just don't like the way this woman is moving. So on one hand, I'm like, oh, you can let it go. You resign, and you don't have to really work with her much longer. I think I had 3 or 4 days left. Because I was off that Friday, I was off that Monday. So one part of me was like, girl, just let it go. But that Coco part of me couldn't let it go. I couldn't let it go. I could not let it go. So I'm like, okay, I got to call this lady. Because my thought process, the way I think, it was like this, okay. I was like, if I let this go, this woman may see me in the grocery store line and think she could, like, jump in front of me. Because, oh, this bitch ain't going to say nothing. I'm like, no, you definitely have to address that. I'm a firm believer. If something bothers you, address it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain things I give time to. And if I'm still thinking about it the next day, I go ahead and address it. But I'm not going to let something sit on me. Because once it starts sitting on me, then it starts affecting my health, my mental, my emotional. So if I feel a way about it, I'm going to address it. So I went ahead and addressed it. And so the lady called me. No, I called her initially, went straight to voicemail. So I then she ended up calling me back. And so when she called me, mind you, I stay in the country, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm just curious as to why you felt the need to talk to everybody else about my schedule except me. And she was like, well, I was asking for staffing purposes. And that set my soul on motherfucking fire. Do you hear me? Because I'm like, nah, bitch, you a motherfucking lie. Because we had already discussed staffing earlier that morning. The staffing thing. So I took out that Friday and I took out that Monday. That Friday, they were going to be extremely short. Because so many other people had taken off. But it was approved by the manager prior to this director coming. And the manager knew. That ain't my problem. Y'all staffing issues are not my problem. So, when she lied to me, I want to punch that bitch in her throat. And that's why I say it was God who told me to go ahead and leave early. Because had she lied to my face, security would have been walking me out. Because bitch, don't play with me. Okay? Don't play with me. So I'm like, no, you're lying. And so my phone started messing up or whatever the case may be. And I was just like, you know what? I don't have anything else to say to this bitch, but I'm going to send her a text message. Because if she lied again, I'm going to go back up here. I really wasn't going to go back up there, but it wasn't going to end well. So, I was just like telling her that, that basically you're lying. Because we had already discussed staffing that day. And whether or not you investigated, you sent those emails, asked questions about me, what was going to change about the fact that I was not going to be there Friday and Monday? What was going to change? Nothing. Because I still was not going to be there Friday or Monday. I told you, we don't have anything else to discuss further. And I told her, I said, I told her it appears that you're going to fit in very well with this facility. You seem to be part of their culture. Because this facility, I mean, it's so political. If their daughter, son-in-law, stepson need a job, qualified or not, they're going to get the job. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not me. I'm the type, I'm going to come to work. I don't care what my position is. If a room needs to be turned over, clean, I'm stepping in, helping. Anything that I can help with, I'm going to help as long as I'm at work. When I'm not at work, don't bother me. And that's just my motto. Leave me the fuck alone. And so anyway, so that Friday, I think I was headed to Houston with my son, and I got an email saying that I had been terminated because of me taking my time off. Okay. If that's what y'all want to do, that's fine. It really don't matter. It don't make much of a difference to me. So that's the story.